You are one-on-one with Wesley Sports Guy here on YouTube.com and at WesleySportsGuy.com as well. Got a lot to get to today. I'm kind of fired up, so if you have children that are going to be watching this episode, you might want to leave them in another room or just not have them watch this episode because I'm a little bit fired up about a particular story this week that happened in Major League Baseball with a suspension of a current Major League Baseball player. I'll get to that in just a second, but first, real quick recap of the conference finals for the NHL and NBA. In the NHL, you got the Vegas Golden Knights with a commanding 3-1 lead over the Winnipeg Jets. And I had Vegas winning that series. I didn't think it was going to be over with this quickly. I don't think it will. I think Winnipeg still will make it into 6 games at least, but Vegas will still prevail and get to the Stanley Cup Finals. A miracle, not a miracle season, you should say, but if you've been watching Vegas this entire season, they are a legit contender, and they have been the entire year from day one. So it's no surprise really from this person's perspective and a lot of people's perspective to see that Vegas is a for-real team and easily a cup contender the entire year. So I definitely am not shocked by this at all. And in the East, you have a stalemate, you could call it, 2-2 right now between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Washington Capitals. Washington took 2 in Tampa Bay, and in return, Tampa Bay took the next 2 in Washington, D.C. to be more specific. The Capitals and Lightning, former division rivals, going at it for the conference finals. What's more not to like about that? It's very entertaining thus far, and it should bode to be a great Stanley Cup final, assuming it's going to be Vegas against either Washington or Tampa Bay. It should be rather exciting for hockey fans to watch those two go at it, whoever they may be. In the NBA, you've got the Cleveland Cavaliers getting thumped in the first 2 games by the Boston Celtics. No surprise there, although I still think Cleveland's going to pull it out in 7 games. That was my original prediction going into the conference finals, and my original prediction in the NBA season was Cleveland v. Golden State, whereas in the West, you've got Golden State and Houston tied up at 1 going into the weekend. It's going to be a shooter's paradise between those two. There really is no defense to speak of, even though they are somewhat good defensive teams. Golden State can be a great defensive team. They just choose not to play defense a lot of times. But again, they are the defending champs for a reason. And main reason why is because of Kevin Durant. And Houston really doesn't have an answer for him right now. But then when you look at the Warriors side, they really have no answer for the constant shooting. It's like having a little brother going at it between the Rockets and Warriors, whereas the Warriors are the bigger brother. They've been a well-established team doing it this way for quite some time, and the Houston Rockets are just up and coming right now, shooting it just as much as Golden State, if not more, which is kind of hard to believe looking at how the Warriors have just been shattering records left and right with their 3-point shooting percentage in the last few years alone. Now, the story that's really getting on my nerves this week is the suspension of Robinson Cano, second baseman for the Seattle Mariners, getting suspended 80 games for testing positive for a banned substance. It's not so much steroids that he's been suspended for. He was suspended for taking a diuretic known as furosemide, or furosemide, however you pronounce it. I'm not a doctor. I pretend to be one, though, sometimes, but I am not a licensed physician. Regardless, he tested positive for this banned substance, and in his statement, which I'm not going to read word for word, but basically he said that he was prescribed this by a doctor in the Dominican Republic, and it's not unlike a lot of players or even people from the country of the Dominican Republic to take these substances for other reasons besides being a diuretic. Okay, so if you're not using it to mask steroid use, what's the point of it? He didn't really entail what the point of getting the substance prescribed to him by a Dominican doctor in the first place. So I don't know what to believe. I don't understand it anymore. I don't understand how players can continue to go out day in and day out when they are caught with something saying they didn't knowingly put that substance into their bodies, even though it's your body, it's your responsibility. It's also your responsibility to get with the union and Major League Baseball, which is in agreement with this testing process for both urine and blood, to basically say, hey, these are what you can and cannot take, and if you get caught with it, it's your own damn fault. I'm supposed to feel sorry for you that you got caught, and even though you didn't say you didn't knowingly put this substance in your body, That's sort of what you alluded to with your statement. Again, I'm not going to read it word for word. You can check it out yourself, MLB.com, Mariners website, wherever it may be. I'm just sick and tired of reading these guys' statements because it's just full of excuses. I'm sick and tired of this crap. Robinson Cano, you got caught. You were caught before the season when you were tested for this. You appealed, and it took 2.5 months later for them to finally say, hey, no, we've got a pattern here of what you were doing with it. So no, appeal denied. And that wasn't by Major League Baseball. It's not like Roger Goodell in the NFL where he's the judge, jury, and executioner. No, this was a arbitrator that saw the evidence and said, no, Cano, you need to serve the suspension. So this is pretty damning evidence against Robinson Cano. Now, the question is he still considered a Hall of Fame player? We don't know. 10 years from now, he's going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, assuming he plays out the rest of the contract that he's got with Seattle, 5 more years after this one. He'll also have a 5-year grace period when he does decide to retire before he becomes eligible for voting in the Hall of Fame. I have no idea. I have no idea how this is going to play out. The test cases right now are between Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. The list goes on and on and on. Alex Rodriguez is going to be the next one soon that'll be coming up for debate whether or not they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. No, you don't. You were caught. Now, some of those names I mentioned weren't caught. McGwire admitted it after the fact. He never got tested for it, and he never coughed up to it until many years later. Barry Bonds never admitted to it. Roger Clemens never admitted to it. They're probably never going to admit to it. They were both tried for lying about it. And the circumstantial evidence was pretty overwhelming against both of them. But hey, they escaped any kind of punishment whatsoever. Alex Rodriguez has not escaped any kind of punishment. In fact, he probably got the most severe punishment out of anybody that was caught testing positive for any substance. Looking at it right now, I don't believe these guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. If you were caught, tested positive, you're done. It's over with. Rafael Palmeiro is the biggest example. He got tested positive way early in the beginning of the testing phase in Major League Baseball, and he has never been even close to, I think, 20 or 25% for Hall of Fame voting. Yet people still voted for him. I don't understand that. People are still voting for Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire. They're going to vote for Alex Rodriguez too, but I just don't understand why you're going to be able to put these guys in the Hall of Fame. You cheated, you got caught. If so, you don't deserve them to be in the Hall of Fame. You could make the argument for Bonds and Clemens, but still, the circumstantial evidence is overwhelming. These guys didn't need to cheat, and yet they did it anyway. I will never understand that, nor will they have any reason to explain that, because I will not believe them. I can't take them at face value. Bonds' excuse was, I didn't knowingly take the substance. That's how he got off. The same excuse is coming along down the line for the rest of these guys that are getting caught testing positive for these substances. I'm sick and tired of it. I can't take this crap anymore. You get caught, it's over with. Done. Great. You're still playing Major League Baseball. Good for you. I hope you're doing it clean the rest of your career, because everybody's going to be looking at you under a microscope. And also by checking your pee a little bit more often too. Time for the segment that makes you think, is it Yanni or Laurel? Do you remember?
You remember?
Do you remember when the 1990s NBA playoffs were probably the most exciting, exhilarating moments to watch in sports? I do. 1990s NBA basketball was the best. I grew up with that, and that was just great. Now, you want to talk about NBA playoffs nowadays compared to then, it's not even close. You see a hard foul in today's NBA, it's a automatic, whether or not it was a flagrant 1 or flagrant 2, or was it intentional, or was he going for the ball? There's a lot of hearsay of whether or not there was intent with it, and whether he was intentionally going for his head. That crap really didn't matter in the 1990s. There was no replay, there was no reviews or any of that crap. It was a judgment call, and the refs were pretty adamant about whether or not it was intentional or not. And most of the time they weren't even called flagrant fouls. They were hard fouls, quote unquote. But I loved it. We all loved it. We loved seeing the Chicago Bulls play the Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks when it came playoff time. Great matchups. It was playoff basketball. You expected that to happen, and you expected them not to like each other either. It was lay it all on the line, go at it every single day. And in the Western Conference, you had great rivalries too. The Seattle Supersonics, remember that team? They played up against the Houston Rockets, Phoenix Suns, even the Lakers to a certain extent. Lakers were always in the playoffs. They always got thumped by one of these teams. Even the Utah Jazz had a nice run in the 90s as well. I miss playoff basketball in the 1990s. I know it's never going to come back. The eras have changed. It's all about shooting. It's all about ticky-tacks, and we got to look at the replays for a lot of things, and it's a good thing to have. You got to have replay in a lot of things in every sport now. I understand. I didn't like it so much in baseball, but it works. It works for what they're doing right now. But on the NBA side of things, I am sick and tired of looking over fouls for 5 minutes every single time somebody's fouled, and whether or not we should decide, is this flagrant, or should he be ejected, or should it just be a 2-shot foul, team gets possession, or should we just call it a common foul? Stop it. Play basketball. Simple. Don't overthink these things. I'm sick and tired of this crap. Yes, I'm fired up. With that being fired up, it's time for the feel-good story of the week, and I give this to you from New York, Long Island to be specific, care of Kristen Fitzpatrick, founder of the League of Yes. You got to love that video. I mean, Billy, you've got better dance moves than me. Congrats on that home run. That was fantastic. That made my week right there. And obviously I'm sharing it for you. This is the feel good story of the week here on One-on-One with yours truly, Wes the Sports Guy. This has been episode 10. I know, 10. That's 2 of those. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you tuning in every single week. Be sure to subscribe and also hit that Liberty Bell thing, apparently because YouTube is stupid, and they make you subscribe twice for something that you've already subscribed to the first time. So, hey, go ahead and do that, whatever they say. YouTube.com and at WesTheSportsGuy.com, and we'll see you next week for episode 11 here on One-on-One. See you next time.
I've been down so long that my crown and gone is lifting.